Oh, finally! I received a new console! Now I have to get a Sonic game for it. How about this one? Sonic games are often defined by the consoles they're released on. When you think of the original trilogy, you think of the Sega Genesis. When you think of Sonic Adventure, you think of the Dreamcast if you have a soul. And especially when the Sonic series reached peaks it hadn't seen in ages during the early 2020s, the question I'm sure hopped into many new fans' minds. What is the best Sonic game for my console? Or rather, any console. Not everyone is going to own every single console on the market or own a powerful PC. Not everyone can't just think, oh, I want to play Sonic Unleashed, and start at the snap of their fingers. Little Timmy only has a 3DS, so one of his only options is to either die of heat stroke or be burned at the stake. So allow me to save you time and look at each system that has its own set of Sonic games and see which is the best game to go for. Now, to set some ground rules, I'm only counting games or versions of games made with a specific console in mind. For example, Sonic Mega Collection wouldn't count since it's a collection of Sonic games being emulated for the system and doesn't actually have that much to offer on its own. Similarly, Sonic Colors wouldn't count towards the best game on the Wii U since it's just a Wii game being played through backwards compatibility. Meanwhile, Sonic Colors Ultimate would count towards the best game on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One since it was made for those consoles in mind, but wouldn't count towards PS5 or Xbox Series X because of backwards compatibility. Would Sonic Colors Ultimate have been labeled the best Sonic game for any of these consoles? No. Anyway, without further ado, let's start by taking a look at the Sega Master System. The Sega Master System is very interesting because the system doesn't really have a library of Sonic games of its own. Every Sonic game on the system was also released on Sega's handheld system, the Game Gear. That being said, this system was home to Sonic 1 8-bit, Sonic 2 8-bit, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Spinball, and Sonic Blast only in Brazil. Now, a lot of these games are just inferior versions of the Sega Genesis counterparts, and most of them are overall not that great. The only two contenders for the best game on the system, in my opinion, were Sonic 1 and Sonic Chaos, and I decided to give it to Chaos. Compared to Sonic 1, not only is Chaos fully original, but it also includes Tails, the Spin Dash, better-ish music, and plenty more that allow it to easily edge out Sonic 1 in this battle of wits. So, on the Sega Master System, Sonic Chaos is the best you can get. Next, let's take a look at where the Sonic series actually got its start. The Sega Genesis. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The Sega Genesis holds most of the classic Sonic series, Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, CD with the Sega CD add-on, Knuckles Chaotix with the 32X add-on, and Sonic 3D Blast at Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Be for real. If you could only play one Sonic game for the system, what else would you pick? Sonic 2 may be a close contender with its sheer speed and multiplayer, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles is a straight-up adventure. From the sheer variety of locations all from one remote island, to a story that had never been told this in-depth in the series before this point. It was literally adapted into a movie. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, without a doubt, blows every other Sonic game on the Genesis out of the water. There's been a miscount. Now, let's take a look at the system that was released a few years after the Sega Genesis. The Sega Close enough. Welcome back, Master System. The Sega Game Gear is basically just the Master System again, with some extra steps. Every Sonic game from the Master System is here and accounted for, on top of Sonic Drift, Sonic Drift 2, Tails Adventure, Tails Sky Patrol, Sonic Blast for everyone outside of Brazil, and Sonic Triple Trouble. And the only game on this list to outpace Sonic Chaos is that game's sequel, Sonic Triple Trouble.
Hey guys, I was recording this part of the discussion whenever I realized I forgot Sonic Labyrinth. I actually kind of like this game, weirdly enough. I don't think it's better than Triple Trouble though, so it wouldn't have won anyway, so it doesn't really matter that it's not here. And Mean Bean Machine doesn't count either because it's Puyo Puyo, but yeah, I forgot Sonic Labyrinth, but it's a solid game. I think you could make an argument as to why it might be a bit more fun than Triple Trouble, but not me.
Triple Trouble is essentially the Game Gear's equivalent of Sonic 3. The only difference is that the story is nowhere near as in-depth. You still get the varied stages, fantastic music, and elements that, if you were to play only one Sonic game from the system, what else would you really pick? Sonic Triple Trouble is the best Sonic game for the Game Gear, zero hesitation.
For our next console, we have the... That's my carpet. Why is that my carpet? Oh. This discussion is sponsored by Figgies. I've discussed them before, but in case you don't know, they're figurines that attach to magnetic plates for easy displaying. Recently, First 4 Figures sent me 2 of their new waves, one of modern characters and one of more classic Sonic characters. All the modern characters even have backgrounds that are pixelated versions of stages from Sonic Generations. That's so cool. I can't wait to display these on my wall. I forgot the wall magnet. With the classic figures, we know what happens when you attach them to a Wii U, but the question remains, what happens when you attach them to a Switch 2? Well, the Joy-Cons work just fine. Each of these waves comes with 4 unique characters, and they all look fantastic. As cheaper alternatives to first 4 figures is... Oh my god! This is perfect for anyone looking for a budget product to put in their collection. On top of the low $12.99 price, if you use my code XPOOLEA5 at checkout, you get 5% off of your purchase.
Okay, this is me just realizing something as I'm showing this. Why is Silver, like, framed like the villains? Like, what?
Thank you so much to Figgies for sponsoring this discussion, and let's get back to the next console.
Onto the Sega Saturn, we get to choose between a whopping 2.5 games. I say 2.5 because of Sonic R, Sonic 3D Blast, and Sonic Jam. Jam is mainly a collection of the first 3 Sonic games and Knuckles. Now, Jam is a bit of a technicality since it isn't straight drag and drops of the original game, rather they're proper ports of the Genesis trilogy. Honestly though, I don't feel like it should really count regardless. If it came with an extra, never-before-seen Sonic game, kind of like Mega Man The Wily Wars, then maybe I'd count it, but the closest thing that we have to a never-before-seen Sonic game here is Sonic World, the open-world side game with not much to do except for missions and look at extras. Now, does Sonic World alone win against Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic R? I mean, I want to say yes, but God said no. Sonic 3D Blast is the best Sonic game on Sega Saturn. 3D Blast is a complete game that shockingly tramples over the Genesis counterpart with enhanced visuals, better music, and some of the best special stages in the entire series. Meanwhile, Sonic R is a garbage racing game that no one could ever sway me to like, and Sonic Jam is barely even a game when looking at Sonic World alone. Next, we reach Sega's final console, the Sega Dreamcast. No, I'm not doing this. The Sega Dreamcast ties with the Sega Saturn in the amount of Sonic games it has. We've got Sonic Adventure, Sonic Shuffle, and Sonic Adventure 2. Now, I'm sure to a lot of you, there is only one decision that is worthwhile here. Sonic Shuffle, baby! I have never played Sonic Shuffle in my life. But I have played both adventure games on original hardware. And what do I think is the better game on the system? Well, honestly, I'd pick 2. I love Sonic Adventure 1. It's one of my favorite video games of all time, and the Dreamcast version of the game is by far the best version. Although, the same can all be said for Sonic Adventure 2 and more. I don't know, man, Sonic Adventure 2 just has that dog in it, you know what I mean? Where Sonic Adventure's story and world did have a lot of complexities in its specifics, the presentation left a lot to be desired. Meanwhile, Sonic Adventure 2 has just as good of a story, if not better, plus solid presentation all around. Sure, it doesn't have literally connected worlds, but the world still feels alive through the narrative. It is genuinely a tough decision. Maybe I'd feel different another day, but as of now, Sonic Adventure 2, to me, is the best Sonic game on Dreamcast. After this point, Sonic games began releasing on competing hardware at the time, starting with the Nintendo GameCube. The GameCube was home to basically every Sonic game from the era up to the system's discontinuation in 2006. Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure DX, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic Riders. Yet, not many original games, strangely enough, and not many great original ones. Riders is solid, but not enough to really be the Sonic game for the GameCube. What I'd consider the Sonic game to be for the GameCube would be, once again, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I didn't go for Adventure 1 this time because... And out of all these games, Sonic Adventure 2 still remains unmatched. The style, speed, narrative, and world are second to none on this system's list of Sonic games. So easily, once again, Sonic Adventure 2 wins as the best Sonic game on the system. Well, how about a system that only has those original games? Lord have your way. The PlayStation 2 and Xbox systems are essentially the GameCube again, but without the remasters and a few extra bonuses. Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Riders, and on the PS2, Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. For the Xbox, it easily goes to Sonic Riders. I like Sonic Heroes, but honestly, as a complete experience from start to end, Sonic Riders is just more enjoyable and consistent, despite not being a proper platforming game. What about Shadow the Hedgehog? How does that compare to other games? For PS2, it's honestly between Riders and Unleashed. While it isn't as fun or as polished as the HD version, Unleashed on PS2 is still somewhat solid. In the end, I went with Riders since there are still framerate issues with the PS2 version of Unleashed, and it takes forever to save data to the memory card, and it requires to do that after each level. Moving up a generation, we have the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Say that again? These two have practically identical lineups. Sonic 06, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, Sonic Generations, Sonic CD, Sonic 4 Episode 1, Sonic 4 Episode 2, and Sonic Freeriders being exclusive to Xbox 360. Sonic Freeriders is not winning this competition. This is the easiest decision of all time. Sonic Generations is the hydrogen bomb to every other game's coughing baby. Yeah, Unleashed is fantastic and has a better story, but the slowdown, awkward pacing, and irritating metal collecting brings it down by a good chunk. Generations has none of that. It's fast-paced, super replayable, and is so much fun all around. Every other mainline game doesn't stack up, so the only ones that really can stack up against it are the racing games and Sonic 4. And while I love those games to death and like Sonic 4, Generations hits different, man. So easily, Sonic Generations is the best Sonic game on Xbox 360 and PS3. Now, for the other side of that generation, we have the Nintendo Wii, which shockingly has a completely different looking library from its other 7th gen counterparts. We've got Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, Sonic 4 Episode 1, Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, and Sonic Colors. Wow, that's not as big of a list as I thought. It's mainly just games with long titles. I mean, it's still a good chunk of games, but I think because the Wii has GameCube backwards compatibility and the Virtual Console that comes with all the Genesis games and the Master System games, it feels like there should be tons more games here. Regardless, I'd easily give the title of best games here to Sonic Colors. Not only is Sonic Colors the game that brought Sonic back for a while there in the 2010s, but it's also easily the most polished and most replayable, because it's basically a diet Sonic Generations in that you have both 3D and 2D levels, all with the same boost mechanic as that game. Not to say the other games are bad. Not to say that most of the other games here are bad, but Sonic Colors runs circles around all its competitors to show it really makes a Sonic game. It is, without a doubt, the best Sonic game on the Wii. Okay, what's next? We just talked about the Wii. What's this? The Wii U? 4 games? And they're all terrible? Sonic Lost World, Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Games, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, and Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. The only game here that is more than just a minigame collection and is actually worth half of a darn is Sonic Lost World. So let's talk about Freedom Planet instead, the real best Sonic game on the Wii U.
Oh, but XPOOLEA, this doesn't count. It's an indie game, not a Sonic game.
Okay, you know what? Your mom doesn't count. Freedom Planet was originally conceived as a Sonic fan game starring Lilac the Hedgehog facing off against Dr. Eggman. The only thing that changed when the game was fully released is that Lilac is now a dragon and Eggman has been replaced with the honestly more sinister at the time, Lord Brevin. The game still controls like a Sonic game, it still sounds like a Sonic game. Dude, be for real, it's a Sonic game. Also, I really don't want to talk about Sonic Lost World. Mario, please, I need this. Freedom Planet takes the 2D Sonic formula and crafts something new out of it, weirdly. While it still has the core DNA of the original Sonic trilogy, it has all new moves for each of its characters, a combat mechanic, a story filled with its own world and lore, and a rocking soundtrack that was done by the person who made the well-known at the time fan-made alternate tracks for Sonic 3. Freedom Planet was my favorite game of all time back in middle school, and honestly just thinking about it makes me want to go back and experience it all over again. While it isn't the magical masterpiece that trounces every other game I've played that I thought it was back when I was occupied being a bumbling idiot, it's still a great game that steamrolls every other Sonic game on Wii U combined. No question or doubt in my mind, Freedom Planet is the best Sonic game on Wii U, and I do not care if you consider it cheating. Now we have made it to the 8th generation of systems, with the games that range from the mid-2010s to the mid-2020s. So this is going to be a handful. Starting with the PS4 and Xbox One with their identical libraries of games, we've got Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, Team Sonic Racing, Sonic Colors Ultimate, Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Superstars, Sonic X Shadow Generations, and Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Not a lot of quantity, but a good chunk of quality. I could see a majority of these games competing for the top spot. Sonic Mania was honestly the game the Wii U should have had instead of Freedom Planet. It's a phenomenal return to the classic formula that takes the best of each game and perfects it to the nth degree. Sonic Frontiers was the game that helped save Sonic. Even if the PS4 and Xbox One aren't always the best ways to play the game, you can still feel the magic that the game has to offer. The open world is so much fun to run around in, the bosses are phenomenal set pieces, in cyberspace is there. Sonic Superstars is yet another return to the classic style, and while it doesn't do it as well as Mania, it's still a great game with a lot of unique factors that sets it apart from Mania. Sonic X Shadow Generations is a great collection of both the best game on Xbox 360 and a new experience based on it. And Sonic Racing Crossworlds is a chaotic funhouse. These systems are filled with tons of games that compete for the best game on the system, but the only one that really stands out as the best is Sonic X Shadow Generations. Not only is it 2 games in one, with one of them being the best games on the previous generation system, but also a game that is the highest rated 3D Sonic game in years and stands toe-to-toe with the original generations. So despite all of these great games, Sonic X Shadow Generation stands on top as the best of these games, and the same goes with the next generation. As of the release of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, the PS5 and Xbox Series X share libraries of Sonic games with the PS4 and Xbox One, with the exception of games released before 2022, which are only on PS4 and Xbox One. Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Superstars, Sonic X Shadow Generations, and Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Out of the rest of these games, Sonic X Shadow obviously stands on top just as it did in the previous generations of consoles. Now, you might have noticed that a system that shares a nearly identical library with these systems is missing: the Nintendo Switch. Now, you might be wondering, why did I skip out on the Nintendo Switch when trying to find out the best game on PS4 and Xbox One? They have nearly identical libraries down to a T. Well, this is because the Switch version of most of these Sonic games are... Most of them cut the frame rate in half and look significantly worse than their more powerful counterparts. All except for one game, which I believe is the best game for the system: Sonic Mania. Since it's a sprite-based game, it obviously runs identically to the PS4 and Xbox One versions. I'd be concerned if it didn't. Plus, this is a really simple game to pick up and play on a handheld. No long loading times, no annoying menus, just play a level and you can be done. Those two factors give Sonic Mania the title of best Sonic game on the Nintendo Switch, since the rest of the games either don't stack up or run too poorly to be given the title. Now that we've gone over every home console with more than one Sonic game, it's time to go over the handhelds. But first, there's one library of games I've neglected to talk about. One that you might not even know exists. The Amazon Luna streaming service is home to more Sonic games than you may realize. Now, you're probably thinking, what's Amazon Luna? Me too, kid. I'd love to go over the specific versions of these games on Amazon Luna, since the differences they have aren't anything crazy, but are still incredibly interesting. If you want to see that, let me know, but I'm gonna hold off for now. Amazon Luna has Sonic Mania Plus, Team Sonic Racing, Sonic Colors Ultimate, Sonic Frontiers, and Sonic Superstars. Considering our previous logic between Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Mania Plus, and Sonic Superstars, which is the best game on Amazon Luna? Well, this might come as a shock, but I'd honestly go with Sonic Superstars. While the game, in my opinion, isn't as good as Sonic Frontiers or Sonic Mania, when you put it into the perspective of the features Amazon Luna brings, it makes sense. Amazon Luna prides itself in its Luna Couch mode, where you invite a friend to simultaneously stream the game you're streaming to join in multiplayer games. Watch this, he's gonna say, "It's like Parsec. Amazon Luna is dumb." Plus, Sonic Superstars, like Mania, is another easy pick up and play game, which is very convenient considering what Amazon Luna even is. Through this, you can use the features of Amazon Luna to conclude that Sonic Superstars is probably the best game you can play on the service. Okay, for real this time, let's speed through the handhelds to find the best game for each one. The Game Boy Advance has Sonic Advance 1, Sonic Advance 2, Sonic Advance 3, Sonic Advance the Fighting Game, and Sonic Genesis. Sonic Genesis is not winning. Sonic Battle is a little funky for my liking, and the 3 Sonic Advance games are really interchangeable, but honestly, I'm down to give it to the first game since it's basically just a plain old continuation of the original trilogy. But the other games are good too. The PlayStation Portable has 2 Sonic games, Sonic Rivals and Sonic Rivals 2. They play the exact same, but Rivals 2 has more characters and a more in-depth story, so like, Rivals 2 by default, I guess. The Nintendo DS has what is dubbed the Sonic Rush trilogy, including Sonic Rush Adventure, and Sonic Colors, and then outside of that, we have Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. I'm not Mr. Lag, so I have no obligation to say that Sonic Chronicles is the best game here, so I'll go with Sonic Rush. Rush Adventure has some weird pacing issues, and Sonic Colors, while it has more abilities, doesn't have the energy emanating from Sonic Rush 1. So, the best Sonic game on the system is Sonic Rush. The Nintendo 3DS has the worst library of Sonic games in this entire discussion. Okay, so we have Sonic Generations on the 3DS, the first Sonic game that my girlfriend ever played, and then she chose to have it be her last, Sonic Lost World 3DS,
That was not me.
Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, a boring Metroidvania platformer hybrid with levels that are far too long for their own good, and collectibles that require you to partially 100% the game just to finish it, and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, an okay game. The best Sonic game on 3DS is Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. And there you have it. Those are the best Sonic games for each system that has more than one Sonic game. I mean, I would shorten that name, but I know someone's gonna say, you forgot the PS Vita, when if I did that, I would have gone. The PS3 library includes Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Finding the best Sonic game for your system is important, as if you were trying to get into the franchise, you'd want the perfect game to start out with. And thankfully, the most successful systems here have some of the best Sonic games you can get. So if you have a system listed in this discussion and you don't have the best Sonic game for it, go give it a shot. And hey, if you do have the best game on this list, but another one caught your eye, go for it. You might have differing opinions from me or someone else. And if you do, the Sonic community will come after you.